A couple years ago, this was Drew McIntyre.
Claymore! Claymore! Oh, we got him! Drew McIntyre!
And 2 years later, he's doing stuff like this. It appears that Drew McIntyre traded his World Championship main event spot for a sword. In all seriousness though, it's really fascinating to see just how quickly McIntyre went from being the WWE Champion to a man with no direction anymore. In 2020, he won the Royal Rumble and then went on to feud with Brock Lesnar, even winning the WWE title at WrestleMania 36. Although there were no fans in attendance, it was a nice moment and it really felt like WWE had finally built a new star. Fast forward 2 years later and McIntyre is featured on SmackDown in uninteresting and non-important storylines. His entire character has revolved around a sword, to be completely honest with you, and that is not a good thing. Drew McIntyre should be more than just a gimmicky sword. The former champion should feel like a big deal. WWE fans should care about him. McIntyre should have had a big WrestleMania match. I love Happy Corbin and everything, and he's funny and all, but Drew should have been booked better than that. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the rise and then the fall of McIntyre, and I'm also going to explain how WWE can fix his character. But before we get there, let's rewind time and jump back to 2020. It's Royal Rumble time and fans are talking and debating with each other. It's a very interesting time. There's a lot of buzz going around. A lot of people are asking the question, who should win the Rumble to punch in their ticket to main event, the WrestleMania? The biggest rumor name to win it at the time was none other than Roman Reigns. The Fiend was the Universal Champion and reports stated that WWE wanted to book Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns for the title. That was before Goldberg won it. I know that was a bad decision. Therefore, going into the Rumble, people expected the big dog to win the Rumble. To our surprise and our delight as well, Drew McIntyre was the winner, eliminating Roman Reigns. The reaction from the crowd says it all. They were happy with this decision. McIntyre became a star. People were ready to see him dethrone Brock Lesnar, and a win over the Beast is impressive for anybody's career in the wrestling world, let alone at the biggest pay-per-view of the year with the WWE Championship on the line in the main event. It literally does not get any bigger than that. Things were looking very bright for the challenger, and then boom, COVID hit, the pandemic happened, and I think we're all aware of the implications and the impact of the virus. The WWE was a part of that, and it did take a hit. The company, in fact, took a big hit when it came to their momentum. Vince McMahon and every other wrestling promotion have the difficult task of providing entertaining content without an audience. The WWE Universe is literally the most important part of the business because without an audience, it was nearly impossible to love wrestling the same way. Despite the frustrating challenge, Drew McIntyre accepted it. He won the title in a pretty lackluster match, but who cares about that? He went on to have an extremely entertaining reign. Drew and Rollins delivered a classic match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. McIntyre and Lashley began their feud that would later continue in 2021, but it was fun stuff in 2020. Randy Orton was his next opponent, and again, this was good stuff. The next match was against Roman Reigns at Survivor Series, and I'll say the two killed it. They definitely have a lot of chemistry together. To end the year, Drew McIntyre's last rival was AJ Styles. Yet again, he delivered in the ring during their TLC match. I think it's safe to say that the Scottish Psychopath carried Raw through tough times, and that is when things slowly started to change. Drew McIntyre lost his championship after The Miz cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase. The Miz didn't last too long as champion because he was clearly just a plot device to push the feud between McIntyre and Lashley. The two would have an extensive program that lasted about 3 months, and they wrestled at WrestleMania, WrestleMania Backlash, and Hell in a Cell. I believe all 3 matches were very good, and I don't even consider this to be the downfall because it's okay for someone else to win your belts. It's even better when you have a great feud with them afterwards. The problem was how they booked him after he lost the title and ended that feud. That is where Drew McIntyre's story takes a turn for the worse. After losing his championship and wrapping up his feud with Bobby Lashley, WWE did nothing meaningful with McIntyre. He entered an uninspiring rivalry with Jinder Mahal that nobody really cared about whatsoever. McIntyre then had one WWE title match against Big E. It was more of a match to put over Big E in his title reign, and then he got drafted to SmackDown, and that is where the downfall actually occurs even more. Drew McIntyre had random matches with Mustafa Ali and Ricochet. They were cool at the time, but they really didn't do much for his career. Without a storyline for a good amount of time, that's when WWE inserted Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. I've gone on record and said I've liked those guys, and I still do. I think they're great for their roles, and they do pretty good, and the casual audience definitely does not like them, which is good heat. However, that doesn't mean that I'm happy with McIntyre feuding with them for about 6 months. That is way too long of too much nonsense. The program should have lasted at most a couple of months and nothing more than that. It just showed that WWE didn't care enough about McIntyre to put him in important stories. The company was so obsessed with Roman Reigns and his feud with Brock Lesnar, they forgot all about Drew McIntyre, and that is actually what led to his downfall, which is a shame because he proved he can be a main event guy, and it still wasn't enough. Then Drew McIntyre just went around swinging that sword for half a year, chasing Corbin and Moss around. That's pretty much it. Like I said earlier in the video, he has no direction, and he really went from the WWE champ to a talented wrestler that missed some pay-per-views and has been in a long and dull storyline that is finally over now. Drew McIntyre does not feel like the star he once was, but that's okay, because this is the WWE where they literally write and book everything, and every ruined superstar, everyone who loses momentum, whatever the case may be, can be recovered. So this is how WWE can fix Drew McIntyre. First and foremost, WWE needs to understand the value that comes with Drew McIntyre. That is the first step in fixing his career of the company. After they realize what star they have, they need to start building him as a credible challenger for Roman Reigns. I think the best way to do that is by having him defeat a ton of people on SmackDown. The feud with Sami Zayn is a good idea. McIntyre should have a pay-per-view match with him and win. After that, he has a pay-per-view feud and another match with Sheamus. Those two always had good chemistry together, and a nice little fun program seems like the way to go. This also includes beating Ridge Holland and Butch. Drew will also beat both Jimmy and Jey Uso. At this point, he's defeated Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, Corbin, Moss, Mahal, Sami Zayn, Sheamus, Ridge Holland, Butch, Jimmy, and Jey Uso. That is literally a majority of the SmackDown roster. After that, he comes out sometime before SummerSlam to announce his frustration. Why is he mad? Well, Drew McIntyre is mad because he literally went through everyone and wants to compete against the best of the best, which is clearly not the people he's been wrestling. Drew will even say that he's done with all the gimmicks and even get rid of the sword. He's done with that BS, that nonsense. He says he doesn't want a sword, he wants the Universal Championship, and the challenge is set. And Roman Reigns comes out to the ring, laughs in his face, and just walks away. That's how you set up a rivalry for SummerSlam between Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. Whether or not he wins the title is up to WWE. I don't think it matters too much. I just think that this would put him back on the map, and when he is back on the map, that's when you keep that momentum going. A serious and intense McIntyre is best for his career. I don't like the corny version of who he's become in the last year. If he doesn't capture the title, then he needs to be booked in interesting storylines following that, and I think brief feuds he must have after the storyline with Roman Reigns would be with Edge and his hooligans, Walter and Austin Theory, and even John Cena if John Cena comes back for WrestleMania next year. That is what you do with a star. You use him like the star he is. Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video.